Within every single one of us, a quiet and profound language is being spoken. It is the language of life itself, written into the very fabric of our being. This is the language of our DNA. For so long, we have seen our genetics as a fixed blueprint, a set of instructions that determines our physical traits and predispositions. But what if it is something more? What if it is a living, breathing poem, a story that is constantly unfolding? This is where the wisdom of the codon rings comes into play. They are not just biological markers, they are mystical keys that can unlock the deepest secrets of our own consciousness and our shared human journey. Imagine your DNA not as a rigid chain, but as a beautiful, shimmering necklace. Each bead on this necklace is a codon, a tiny packet of genetic information. These codons group together to form larger patterns, like families of light. These are the codon rings. They represent deep, archetypal currents that flow through all of humanity. They are the chemical families that bind us together, not just biologically, but spiritually and emotionally. To understand these rings is to begin to understand the invisible forces that shape our lives, our relationships, and our destinies. It is a journey inward, into the heart of the cellular mystery. The codon rings invite us to look at our biology with a sense of wonder and reverence. They show us that science and spirituality are not separate paths, but two sides of the same magnificent coin. As we explore their meaning, we begin to see that our bodies are not just machines. They are sacred vessels, carrying an ancient wisdom that has been passed down through countless generations. This wisdom is not hidden away in some dusty old book. It is alive right here, right now, vibrating within our cells, waiting patiently for us to listen. It whispers of our true nature and our ultimate potential. This journey into the codon rings is a personal one, yet it connects us to the whole. It is a path of self-illumination that reveals our part in a much larger cosmic dance. We start to see that the challenges we face, the fears we hold, and the gifts we possess are all written into this sacred code. By gently contemplating these patterns, we can begin to transform our lives from the inside out. We can move from a state of reaction to a state of deep presence and grace. This is the promise held within our DNA, the potential to unlock our highest purpose and live a life of profound meaning and connection. The genetic code is a universal language, shared by almost all life on Earth. This language is composed of 64 codons, which are like the letters of a divine alphabet. These codons are the building blocks that create the proteins necessary for life. However, these 64 codons do not stand alone. They gather together into 22 distinct chemical families, which we call the codon rings. Each of these rings has a unique chemical signature and a profound archetypal theme that it carries for all of humanity. It is a symphony of chemistry and consciousness, playing out within each and every one of us. Of these 22 rings, 21 correspond to one of the 20 essential amino acids that are the fundamental building blocks of proteins. You can think of these amino acids as the musical notes in the symphony of life. Each one has a different quality, a different resonance. The codon rings group these notes together, creating harmonious chords that express deep truths about the human experience. There is also one very special codon ring, known as the Ring of Stop, which is linked to the 3 stop codons. These codons don't code for an amino acid. Instead, they signal the end of a protein chain, a moment of sacred pause in the genetic process. Each ring, therefore, is a world unto itself. It is a field of consciousness that we all share. For example, one ring might govern the themes of leadership and community, while another might explore the mysteries of love and union. As we are conceived, our unique genetic imprint activates certain aspects of these rings, giving us our specific life path and purpose. We are all deeply connected to all 22 rings, but we each have a particular set of themes that we are here to explore and master in this lifetime. Understanding this helps us to see our lives not as a series of random events, but as a meaningful journey of unfolding. This framework of 22 rings provides a beautiful map for our inner journey. It shows us how our personal struggles and triumphs are part of a universal human story. When we feel lost or confused, we can turn to the wisdom of the codon rings to find our bearings. They remind us that we are not alone in our experiences. The very chemistry of our bodies links us to a vast family, a collective consciousness that is evolving together. This understanding brings a sense of peace and belonging. It is the realization that we are an integral part of a grand and beautiful chemical symphony. The codon rings are more than just a biological curiosity. They are the invisible threads that weave the very fabric of human society. They are the deep, underlying currents that pull us together into families, tribes, communities, and nations. Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection to someone you just met? Or felt a sense of belonging in a certain group or place? This is the power of the codon rings at work. They operate on a subtle, chemical level, creating resonances between people who share similar genetic themes. We are drawn to each other through these archetypal fields of consciousness. Think of humanity as a vast, interconnected ecosystem. The codon rings are the major currents within this system. Some of us are here to explore the themes of the Ring of Prosperity, and we naturally find ourselves drawn to building businesses and creating material abundance. Others are carriers of the Ring of Love's frequency, and their lives are dedicated to exploring the depths of relationship and union. We group together based on these shared energetic signatures. This is not about being better or worse. It is simply about the diverse roles we are here to play in the great drama of human evolution. These chemical families create the rich diversity we see in human culture. Each culture expresses the themes of the codon rings in its own unique way, through its myths, its art, its social structures, and its values. When we look at the world through this lens, we can begin to appreciate the beauty in our differences. We see that each society is simply a different flower in the great garden of humanity, expressing a particular facet of the whole. The conflicts that arise between cultures often come from a misunderstanding of these deep underlying archetypal energies. We forget that we are all part of the same human family. Ultimately, the codon rings guide us toward a greater understanding of unity. They show us that beneath our individual identities and cultural conditionings, we are all connected by this shared genetic heritage. We are all part of the same story. As we become more aware of these invisible connections, we can begin to consciously collaborate with them. We can build communities based on shared purpose rather than shared fear. We can learn to honor the unique gifts that each person brings, knowing that every single one of us is essential to the beautiful, unfolding tapestry of humanity. Among the 22 sacred groupings of our DNA, there is one that holds a particularly potent key to our collective awakening. This is the Codon Ring of Illusion. This ring is a profound portal of perception, teaching us about the nature of reality itself. It invites us to question what we believe to be solid and real, especially when it comes to the greatest human mystery of all, death. The Ring of Illusion is a challenging path, as it confronts our deepest fears, but it also offers an incredible gift. The gift is the liberation from the illusion of separation and the discovery of our true, timeless nature. The Ring of Illusion is comprised of two powerful genetic archetypes, known as Gene Key 28 and Gene Key 32. These two gene keys work together as partners, creating a dynamic tension that shapes our perception of life and death. Gene Key 28 explores the theme of embracing life's totality, including its shadows and challenges. Gene Key 32, on the other hand, deals with our deep ancestral memory and the primal fear of failure, which is intrinsically linked to the fear of death. Together, they create a powerful vortex of energy that can either keep us trapped in fear or propel us into a state of profound freedom. This codon ring is called the Ring of Illusion because it governs the way our minds construct our reality. The greatest illusion that humanity is currently living under is the belief that we are separate individuals, finite beings who will one day cease to exist. This belief, rooted deep in our ancestral programming, is the source of so much of our suffering. It causes us to live in a state of constant, low-level anxiety. We postpone our joy, we hoard our resources, and we compete with one another because we are afraid of our own mortality. We live as though death is an end, rather than a transition. However, the Ring of Illusion is also the key to our freedom. By contemplating the wisdom of Gene Keys 28 and 32, we can begin to see through this collective mirage. We can learn to recognize the fear of death as a shadow, an echo from our past that no longer needs to control our present. This codon ring does not ask us to deny death, but to embrace it as an integral part of life's eternal cycle. When we do this, the illusion shatters, the fear dissolves, and we are left with the simple, radiant truth of the present moment. At the heart of the Ring of Illusion lies a specific chemical messenger, the amino acid known as asparaginic acid. Every codon ring has a corresponding amino acid, and this one is the chemical key that unlocks the mysteries of this particular ring. Asparaginic acid is not just a building block for proteins, it is actually a carrier of consciousness. It holds the energetic frequency of the themes governed by Gene Keys 28 and 32. It is the very substance that communicates the fear of meaninglessness, and the profound search for purpose at a cellular level. It is, in a sense, the chemistry of our deepest existential questions. When we are living in the shadow frequencies of this codon ring, asparaginic acid can be associated with a feeling of purposelessness. We feel kind of adrift in a chaotic universe, and life can seem like a series of random, meaningless events. This is the shadow of gene key 28. It is the feeling that our lives lack depth and significance. This chemical state fuels our fear of death because, if life has no purpose, then death is simply an empty void. This deep-seated anxiety can lead us to make desperate choices, to grasp for fleeting pleasures, or to fall into a state of apathy and resignation. On the other hand, as we begin to awaken and move into the higher frequencies of this codon ring, the role of asparaginic acid transforms within our system. It begins to support the embodiment of our true purpose. In the gift frequency of gene key 28, which is totality, we begin to embrace all of life, the light and the dark. We find our purpose not in some grand external achievement, but in the simple act of living fully and authentically in each moment. Asparaginic acid then becomes the chemical substrate for a life lived with courage, presence, and a deep sense of meaning. Ultimately, at the highest frequency, the city of immortality, the chemistry of asparaginic acid supports a profound realization. This is the understanding that our true purpose is not something we do, but something we are. It is the realization of our timeless, eternal nature. The fear of death dissolves completely because we see that we are not separate from the whole of life. We are life itself. Asparaginic acid, this humble amino acid, thus becomes a vehicle for enlightenment, helping our physical bodies to hold the frequency of our own divinity and to understand that true purpose is found in being, not doing. Gene key 28 is one of the two pillars that make up the ring of illusion. This gene key takes us on a profound journey from the shadow of purposelessness to the city of immortality, passing through the gift of totality. At its lowest frequency, this shadow creates a deep-seated fear that our life has no meaning. It's, a feeling of being a victim of fate, tossed about by the winds of chance. This sense of purposelessness is a heavy burden to carry. It can lead to risk-taking behaviors born of desperation, or to a deep melancholy, and a feeling of being disconnected from the flow of life itself. However, every shadow contains a hidden gift. The journey out of purposelessness begins when we start to embrace life in its totality. This is the gift of totality. It's a courageous path that asks us to accept everything that life brings us. The joy and the sorrow, the success and the failure, the light and the dark. It's about understanding that purpose is not found in avoiding the difficult parts of life, but in moving through them with an open heart. When we embrace totality, we stop fighting against reality. We learn to find the lesson in every challenge and the beauty in every moment. Living in the frequency of totality changes our relationship with fear. Instead of running from our fears, we learn to face them. We see that fear is just energy, and when we meet it with courage and presence, it transforms. The fear of death, which is the core fear of this gene key, begins to lose its power over us. We realize that a life lived in fear of dying is not a life lived at all. The true antidote to the fear of death is to live so completely, so totally, that there is nothing left to fear. This means loving deeply, laughing loudly, and feeling everything that life has to offer. As we master the gift of totality, we open ourselves up to the possibility of the city or highest realization of immortality. This is not about the physical body living forever. It's a profound state of consciousness where we realize our timeless nature. We see that we are not the body, but the awareness that witnesses the body. We are the eternal life that flows through all forms. The fear of death vanishes completely, because we know that who we truly are cannot die. We have found our true purpose, which is simply to be the living embodiment of life itself in all its magnificent totality. The other pillar of the Ring of Illusion is gene key 32. This gene key takes us on a journey from the shadow of failure to the city of veneration, through the gift of preservation. This gene key is deeply connected to our ancestral memory, the vast storehouse of experiences and fears passed down to us through our DNA. The core shadow of this gene key is the deep primal fear of failure. It's the fear that we will not survive, that our line will die out, that everything we build will eventually turn to dust. This is the fear that drives so much of human ambition and anxiety. This shadow of failure is a powerful force. It keeps us clinging to what is safe and familiar. It makes us resistant to change and innovation because change always involves risk. This fear is not just personal, it's collective. It's the force that keeps societies and cultures stuck in old patterns long after they have ceased to be useful. It's the voice that whispers, "Don't try, you might fail." It's the fear of losing what we have, which prevents us from reaching for what we could become. This fear is directly linked to the fear of death, because in our primal consciousness, failure equals extinction. The path to transforming this shadow is through the gift of preservation. However, this is not about blindly holding on to the past. True preservation is about having the wisdom to know what is worth keeping and what must be allowed to die. It's about honoring the roots of our traditions while also allowing for new growth. This gift requires patience and a long-term perspective. It's the ability to sense the enduring value in things and to nurture them over time. It's the wisdom of the gardener who knows which seeds will flourish and which will not. As we cultivate the gift of preservation, we move beyond the fear of failure. We see that true failure is not about making mistakes. It's about failing to learn and adapt. We develop a deep trust in the natural flow of life, in its cycles of growth and decay. This leads us to the CD of veneration. This is a state of profound reverence for life itself. We see the sacredness in all things, in the old and the new. The fear of death dissolves into a deep respect for life's processes. We become custodians of the sacred, preserving the timeless wisdom of the past while gracefully midwifing the birth of a new and more conscious future. The Ring of Illusion, with its potent themes of purposelessness and failure, holds us captive through one simple mechanism. It pulls our awareness away from the present moment. The fear of death is a fear of the future. The feeling of purposelessness is a story we tell ourselves about the past and the future. The illusion is sustained by our mind's constant wandering, its projection into a time that does not exist. The key to shattering this illusion, therefore, is breathtakingly simple, though it does require gentle and consistent practice. The key is to bring our full awareness back to the here and now. When you are fully present, where is the fear of death? It cannot be found. In the present moment, you are simply alive. You can feel the breath moving in your body. You can hear the sounds around you. You can feel the solid ground beneath your feet. In this state of pure presence, the mind's stories about the future fade away. The illusion of a future endpoint called death dissolves, because all that exists is the vibrant aliveness of this very moment. To be present is to taste immortality, not as a concept, but as a living, breathing reality. Life is only ever happening now. Living in the present also dissolves the shadow of purposelessness. When you are fully engaged with what you are doing, whether it is washing the dishes, talking with a loved one, or walking in nature, that activity becomes your purpose. Purpose is not a destination you must strive for. It is a quality of attention that you bring to your life. When you are totally present, even the most mundane task becomes sacred. You infuse your life with meaning through the simple act of being there for it. You stop searching for purpose outside of yourself and discover it in the richness of your own immediate experience. This practice of returning to the present moment is a gentle reprogramming of our nervous system. It's a way of communicating to ourselves, to the very chemistry of asparaginic acid, that we are safe, we are here, we are alive. The ancestral panic of gene key 32 begins to subside. The existential angst of gene key 28 finds its peace. By repeatedly anchoring ourselves in the now, we break the spell of the Ring of Illusion. We step out of the dream of time and into the reality of eternity. This is not an escape from life. It's the deepest possible entry into it. As we learn to see through the Ring of Illusion on a personal level, something remarkable begins to happen. We start to see the same illusion playing out on the world stage. We see how the fear of death and the search for purpose drive nations, economies, and ideologies. We see how the collective shadow of failure keeps humanity trapped in cycles of conflict and competition. But instead of feeling despair, we feel a deep sense of compassion. We understand that humanity is simply in the grip of a powerful ancestral dream, a dream from which we are all now beginning to awaken. This awakening is our true collective purpose. We are not here simply to survive or to accumulate wealth or power. We are here to evolve in consciousness. We are here to help one another see through the illusions that have kept us feeling separate and afraid. The journey through the Codon rings, and especially the Ring of Illusion, reveals that we are all interconnected. My awakening is your awakening. Your freedom helps to liberate me. We are not individual players in this game. We are one consciousness, one human family, learning to remember its true nature. The wisdom of the gene keys and the codon rings provides a map for this great awakening. It shows us that the transformation we seek is not in the external world, but within our own DNA. By contemplating these sacred codes, by embracing our shadows and unlocking our gifts, we literally change the chemistry of our being. We begin to vibrate at a higher frequency, a frequency of love, courage, and unity. This change within us sends ripples out into the collective field, contributing to the healing and evolution of the whole of humanity. It is the most important work we can do. Let this understanding inspire you. You are a carrier of a sacred code, a unique piece of the cosmic puzzle. Your life has a profound purpose, which is to unlock the love and wisdom that lie dormant within you. Do not be afraid of the shadows. Do not postpone your life for some future that may never come. Embrace the totality of your being, here and now. Trust in the flow of life. As you do this, you will not only find your own freedom, but you will become a beacon of light for others, guiding us all toward a future where humanity lives in harmony, united in the beautiful truth of our shared existence.